Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Jason Dessen, a physics professor living a comfortable life in Chicago, cherishes Thursday family nights with his wife, Daniela, a former artist now teaching art lessons, and their nearly 15-year-old son, Charlie. On one such evening, while Jason cooks dinner and Daniela enjoys wine, they discuss career paths not taken. Daniela, once a rising star in the art scene, gave it up after meeting Jason and having Charlie. Jason, a promising physicist, abandoned demanding research for a stable teaching job at Lakemont College to support his family, especially after Charlie faced medical issues as an infant. They learn Jason's old college roommate, Ryan Holder, a successful neuroscientist, has just won the prestigious Pavia Prize. Ryan had invited Jason to a celebratory drink at the Village Tap, their local bar, an invitation Jason initially declined for family night. Daniela encourages him to go, congratulate Ryan, and hold his head high. Reluctantly, Jason agrees, promising to return quickly with mint chocolate chip ice cream for Charlie. He leaves without a proper goodbye, unaware this ordinary departure marks the end of his known life. At the Village Tap, Jason finds Ryan, fit and sharp in a black turtleneck, holding court with his postgrads. Ryan treats Jason to expensive whiskey, but the conversation quickly sours. Ryan expresses disappointment, bordering on anger, that Jason, whom he considers brilliant, settled for teaching undergrad physics instead of pursuing world-changing research. He implies Jason wasted his potential. Stung and angry, Jason leaves the bar. Distracted and upset, Jason nearly gets hit by a taxi while crossing the street. The close call shakes him. He proceeds to Whole Foods to buy the promised ice cream, feeling a strange mix of autumnal nostalgia and lingering frustration. Taking a quieter, longer route home through Logan Square, Jason walks under the elevated train tracks, his favorite part of the walk due to its darkness and solitude. Suddenly, a figure rushes him. A man wearing a ghost-white geisha mask with horrifying, pupilless black eyes. The man holds a gun to Jason's face, forces him to turn around, and instructs him to walk. Ignoring Jason's questions, the masked man leads him to a parked black Lincoln Navigator and forces him into the driver's seat. Climbing in behind him, the man knows Jason's name and instructs him to use the car's navigation system, selecting a pre-saved destination. 1400 Pulaski Drive, an unfamiliar address in South Chicago. As Jason drives, terrified, he realizes the man must have been following him, as his home and work addresses are also saved in the GPS. He receives texts from Daniela, wondering where he is. He attempts to secretly text his location and call for help using his phone. But the abductor anticipates this, snatches the phone, and correctly guesses the passcode. He reads Jason's unfinished emergency text aloud, and then proceeds to text Daniela himself, pretending to be Jason, making excuses for his lateness. They drive through desolate parts of South Chicago, past abandoned factories and railroad yards, finally arriving at a derelict industrial site near Lake Michigan. An old power plant marked Cago Power. The masked man forces Jason out of the SUV, and despite Jason's pleas, hits him with the gun when he resists getting undressed. Naked, freezing, and terrified in the abandoned parking lot, Jason is forced inside the decaying building. The masked man seems familiar, his voice triggering a vague recognition Jason can't place. Inside the dark, crumbling plant, Jason is led through corridors, the man prodding him forward with the gun. Overcome with fear, Jason considers fighting back but feels paralyzed. They reach a vast generator room, descending a rickety metal staircase. Jason makes a desperate, clumsy attempt to attack his captor with his flashlight, but fails, falling hard. The masked man injects him twice, once in the neck and once in the leg with unknown substances. Weakened and disoriented by the drugs, Jason is forced to the bottom of the stairs. He's given new clothes, jeans, a plaid shirt, expensive shoes, a leather jacket that fit perfectly. Sitting against a massive generator, a strange calm settles over Jason as the drugs take hold. The masked man asks questions about Jason's life. Is he happy? Does he regret giving up his research ambitions? Jason admits his life is good but not exceptional, acknowledging the critical juncture when Daniela's pregnancy and Charlie's birth diverted his path from potentially groundbreaking science. He insists he never regrets choosing his family. As the drugs pull him towards unconsciousness, the masked man removes his glove, touches Jason's face strangely, almost tenderly, and expresses sorrow for having to scare him. He claims he's doing this for both of us. He injects himself with the contents of a small glass ampule, the liquid shining like mercury in the moonlight, then drops the empty ampule and syringe beside Jason. Before losing consciousness, Jason sees the ampule rolling toward him and hears the man's final words, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." Jason regains consciousness, being lifted onto a gurney by figures in hazmat suits inside what looks like a hangar. He's restrained for his protection. A woman's voice calls him Dr. Dessen and relays his vital signs over a radio, mentioning his arrival 14 months prior. Confused and drugged, Jason is wheeled through vault-like doors into a sterile corridor and then an operating room. A man in a positive pressure suit, introducing himself as Leighton Vance, Chief Executive and Medical Officer, welcomes him back, congratulates him on doing it, and cuts off Jason's clothes, which are sent for testing. Leighton pushes Jason into a decontamination chamber. Jason endures an agonizing process involving a supercooled mist and a burning chemical foam, followed by a powerful warm water rinse and hot air blast. The intense physical sensations convince Jason this is not a hallucination. Cleaned and wide awake, he's taken to a padded patient room, restraints removed, and given new clothes. Leighton leaves him, promising to return after lab results, mentioning Jason is the only one who has returned from wherever he's been. Alone, Jason struggles to piece together his memories, grasping fragments of family night, but finding the recent past a blur. Leighton returns, pleased, reporting Jason is clear of biohazards and radiation. He gives Jason a Ziploc bag labeled Jason Dessen, containing keys and a money clip. Leighton leads Jason out, past applauding workers, to Sublevel 2 for a debriefing. In a glassed-in interview cubicle, Jason meets Amanda Lucas, the lab psychiatrist. She formally begins the debriefing, noting his reappearance after 14 months. Applause erupts from observers watching through the glass walls, lab personnel thrilled at his return. Amanda asks Jason what he saw, where he went, and how he got back. Jason, clinging to his last solid memory, can only recall leaving home and being at the village tap. As he remembers the abduction, his vital signs spike. Realizing he's not the Jason they expect and fearing the consequences, he feigns exhaustion and asks for a break to use the restroom. Leighton escorts him upstairs to his private office bathroom on the ground floor, near the building's main exit guarded by security. Inside the bathroom, Jason locks the door. Hearing Leighton trying the handle and calling security, Jason forces open a small window. He struggles, but manages to climb through. Tumbling onto the pavement outside, just as Leighton breaks down the bathroom door. Jason runs through a dark alley and into an office park, pursued by Leighton and others streaming from the building, now identified as Velocity Laboratories. He flees across lawns, over fences, through backyards, finally collapsing exhausted on an empty baseball field. After recovering, he walks through deserted South Side streets until he hails a reluctant cab driver, bribing him with a significant portion of the cash from the money clip to take him home to Logan Square. Inside the cab, he finds the clip also contains unfamiliar credit cards and an Illinois driver's license with his picture, but details he doesn't recognize. Arriving at his brownstone address, Jason finds the exterior familiar, but the front door subtly different. The keys from the Ziploc bag work. Inside, the house is drastically changed, expensively renovated, minimalist, and devoid of personal touches like Charlie's macaroni art or their family photos. Instead, there's high-end furniture, a state-of-the-art sound system with his vinyl collection neatly organized, and abstract art. In the master bedroom, a display case holds the Pavia Prize certificate awarded to Jason Ashley Dessen for achieving quantum superposition of a macroscopic object. Devastated and confused, Jason tries calling Daniela's cell, but a strange man answers, claiming it's his number. Realizing someone is in the house, Jason hears Leighton's voice calling his name from the stairs. He locks himself in the master bathroom. As Leighton and a guard break down the door, Jason escapes down the laundry chute, landing hard in the basement laundry room. He flees out the back, over the privacy fence, and into the alley, pursued again. He hides in a neighbor's shed, armed with a dull axe, until the coast is clear. Overwhelmed, Jason considers the possibility of a brain tumor causing hallucinations. Seeking medical help, he limps to Chicago Mercy Hospital's ER. He tells Dr. Randolph about his disorientation, the altered house, and being chased. A blood test reveals traces of alcohol, ketamine, and an unknown psychoactive compound. Dr. Randolph, skeptical of Jason's story, learns Jason claims to be a professor at Lakemont College, but finds no record of him there. Instead, hospital staff find a Wikipedia page for Jason A. Dessen, a brilliant physicist, Pavia Prize winner, and chief science officer at Velocity Laboratories, who has been missing for over a year. Concluding Jason is suffering a psychotic break, Dr. Springer, the attending physician the next morning, informs him he'll be transferred involuntarily to a mental health facility. Jason escapes the hospital before the transfer. Wet and cold in the rain, he finds his neighborhood subtly wrong. The Days Inn across from Village Tap is now luxury apartments, and the bar itself has a different sign. He finds a dilapidated hotel, the Hotel Royale, checks in using cash from his dwindling supply, and finds Jason A. Dessen listed in the phone book at his correct address and number. Calling his landline, he hears his own voice on the voicemail, but it's not his message. He looks up Daniela Vargas, her maiden name, and finds a listing. Her voicemail mentions she's away painting. He finds a flyer for Daniela Vargas's art show opening that very night at a gallery called Oomph. He takes a cab there and finds a long line. Inside, he experiences her installation, Entanglement, a disorienting labyrinth of plexiglass, light, and looped imagery exploring themes of existence and choice. He emerges into the main gallery to find Daniela, radiant and successful, addressing the crowd. She's shocked but thrilled to see him, mentioning she'd heard he was missing. She asks about Charlie, and Jason realizes with horror that this Daniela doesn't know their son. She reveals they broke up 15 years ago after she told him she was pregnant. He chose his research over starting a family. She dedicated the installation to him, inspired by a conversation they had before he disappeared. Ryan Holder appears, arm around Daniela. They are casually dating. This Ryan is less successful, works at U Chicago, and seems resentful, mentioning a compound he created for Jason and Velocity that he felt disrespected over. Jason joins Daniela and Ryan at her apartment after the gallery reception. Stoned, he hypothetically tells them his story, a physics professor abducted into a world where he's a famous scientist. His family doesn't exist, and his house is changed. Ryan suggests a brain tumor or an elaborate prank. Daniela, deeply unsettled, confirms her version of their past. He left her when she got pregnant to pursue the research that won him the Pavia Prize. When Jason insists Charlie is their son, she firmly denies it. Ryan leaves, disturbed. Daniela, though confused and worried, lets Jason stay in her guest room. She senses his distress is real, but struggles with the impossibility of his claims. The next day, Jason recovers from a fever. Daniela cares for him. He notices small differences in her appearance and demeanor. She seems lighter, more vibrant than the Daniela weighed down by unspoken regrets in his world. They talk, and she asks if the other Daniela is happy. He confirms details about her family recipe, strengthening her unease about his knowledge. That night, they sleep together, the encounter raw and desperate, reminiscent of their early relationship. Afterward, Jason feels compelled to investigate his alternate self's work. He plans to return to his, Jason 2's house. Suddenly, loud pounding shakes the apartment door. A man is outside, on the phone, asking for Jason. The door explodes inward, and a man with cold gray eyes enters, pointing a silenced pistol. Jason tries to protect Daniela, but the man shoots her fatally between the eyes. Jason is tasered, bound and gagged. He overhears the killer arranging for cleanup. The killer then casually takes a phone call from his own girlfriend. Jason wakes up strapped to a bed in the cell back at Velocity Laboratories. Leighton Vance, dressed in a tuxedo, apologizes for failing Jason upon his return, blaming Jason's unwell state for the tragic events. He implicitly confirms ordering Daniela's murder to protect the lab's secrecy. Enraged but helpless, Jason realizes Leighton views the alternate Jason as a hero and colleague. Leighton encourages Jason to cooperate, offering help to recover his lost memories, believing Jason holds the key to the box's secrets. He grants Jason access to a laptop containing 15 years of Jason Dessen's research notes, hoping it will trigger recall. Jason studies the files, seeing the alternate Jason's work progress far beyond his own, culminating in the Pavia Prize for achieving macroscopic quantum superposition. He reads Jason 2's mission statement discussing the multiverse and the possibility of a firewall in the brain preventing perception of other realities. Amanda Lucas visits Jason, attempting therapy, mentioning psychogenic amnesia. She seems unaware of Daniela's murder, but senses Jason's distress. Jason realizes his safety depends on pretending amnesia while seeking the truth. Leighton takes Jason to the hangar containing the massive 12-foot gunmetal-colored box. Jason recognizes it as a scaled-up version of his own early research concept. Leighton explains the box creates a quantum superposition state, allowing travel between parallel universes. He reveals Jason was the third person in, the only one to return. 4 others vanished. He shows Jason security footage. Jason 2 entering the box 14 months prior, and Jason 1, our protagonist, staggering out days ago. Back in his quarters, Jason connects the dots. Jason 2 regretted his choices, found Jason 1's world, abducted him, drugged him, and swapped places, leaving Jason 1 stranded in Jason 2's reality, while Jason 2 took over Jason 1's life with Daniela and Charlie. As Jason processes this devastating truth, Amanda Lucas secretly comes to his cell. She reveals Ryan Holder has been tortured and killed by Leighton's men for information. Horrified by the lab's brutality, she helps Jason escape again, this time into the box itself. Just as Leighton and guards close in, they inject themselves with Ryan's compound, a drug designed to disable the brain's reality firewall, and slam the box door shut. Inside, the drug takes effect, and the box transforms into an infinite corridor lined with identical doors, each leading to a parallel universe. Amanda explains this is likely a mental construct representing the quantum superposition state. They realize they are adrift in the multiverse. They experiment, opening doors into desolate worlds, one choked by volcanic ash, another a frozen wasteland where they nearly perish, but find shelter in a snow-buried house containing a starved family. Jason theorizes that their emotional state influences which world they connect to. Running low on ampules of the drug needed to activate the corridor, Jason focuses his intention intensely on returning home, his specific life, his Daniela, his Charlie. He writes detailed descriptions in a notebook. They open a door into the familiar generator room of the abandoned power plant in Chicago. However, this Chicago is subtly wrong, eerily silent, plagued by a deadly pandemic, under curfew. Jason finds a version of Daniela dying from the disease, learns Charlie is dead upstairs. He mercy kills Daniela with morphine injectors provided by National Guard soldiers and flees with Amanda, pursued by authorities. They barely make it back to the box. Shattered, Jason realizes finding his exact world is statistically improbable. Amanda, feeling hopeless about returning to her own world and disturbed by Jason's obsessive quest, leaves him, taking half the remaining ampules and wishing him well. Jason, now alone with only 3 ampules left, continues his search. He lands in another near-identical Chicago, spends days homeless, observing another Jason Dessen living a life with Daniela and Charlie. He contemplates killing this Jason, but realizes he can't become the monster Jason 2 was. He understands he must find his own family. With his last ampule, Jason focuses intensely on the specific details and feelings of his life, his love for Daniela, the unique bond with his family. He opens a door back into the generator room. This time, he finds evidence suggesting it might be his world, the empty ampule Jason 2 dropped. He travels back to Logan Square. His house looks correct. His Suburban has the specific dent and broken taillight he remembers. This is it. He discovers Jason 2 is living his life. Worse, he finds an online chat room revealing dozens of other Jason Dessens have also found their way back to this Chicago, all wanting the same life, the same family. Some are desperate, some violent. Realizing the danger to Daniela and Charlie, Jason devises a desperate plan. He gets himself arrested for a minor offense so he can safely call Daniela from the police station. He reunites with Daniela, quickly proving Jason 2 is an imposter by asking questions only her real husband would know the answers to. Or rather, questions Jason 2 wouldn't know the answers to, like their non-existent trip to the Florida Keys. They retrieve Charlie from school and flee the city, pursued by other Jasons. They hide in a remote cabin in Wisconsin. The cabin is discovered. Several Jasons attack. Jason kills one in self-defense. Jason 2 arrives, reveals he tracked them using Charlie's phone. Jason 2 intends to kill Jason 1 and reclaim the life. In a brutal confrontation, Jason 1, with Charlie's intervention creating a distraction, manages to stab Jason 2 fatally. As Jason 2 dies, he gives Jason 1 back his wedding ring and tells him to look in the Suburban's glove box. Another Jason attacks as they flee the cabin. Jason 1 hits him with the Suburban. In the glove box, they find the leather bag Jason 2 took into the box, nearly 100 ampules of the drug. Realizing they can never be safe in this world with countless other Jasons potentially hunting them, they drive back to the abandoned power plant. Dozens of Jasons are waiting at the box, apparently having agreed to Jason 1's earlier lottery proposal. Seeing Daniela and Charlie, and hearing Daniela declare her choice, they let the family pass. Jason, Daniela, and Charlie enter the box together. Jason injects them all with the drug. The corridor forms. Knowing they can't return to their old life, they prepare to choose a new door, a new world together. Jason tells Charlie to choose, trusting their collective intention will lead them somewhere safe, somewhere they can build a new life. Charlie takes a breath, turns the handle, and opens the door onto a world filled with warmth, light, and the scent of unknown flowers. They step through together, ready for whatever comes next. If you enjoyed this book breakdown, please consider liking this video and subscribing to get notified when we post our next book.